The proofed copy of my book came in. I'm publishing a book, and like the copy to make sure everything's perfect came in, and I'm so happy. Like all 517 pages, so perfect. Order below would mean a lot. So first, apple, Gala apple, because I expect no less. Second, soul cycle. Third, breakfast. Actually, third, coffee. Then we'll see you for breakfast. Welcome to another What I Eat in a Day. So for breakfast, I made chocolate protein waffles, blended up a half cup of oats with a big scoop of chocolate plant protein from Thrive, a teaspoon of reishi powder, and the spices that I always use, so cloves, cinnamon, cardamom, and nutmeg. If I had used oat flour, I would have just stirred this instead of needing to blend, but blending it in my NutriBullet got everything nice and combined. Then added in about a 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree and enough almond milk to blend. I then added also a tablespoon of monk fruit sweetener because it wasn't as sweet as I wanted it to be. Stir that all up with a little bit more almond milk. Chilled it in the fridge while I waited for my waffle iron to heat so it would be a little thicker, and then I spread that out, cooked it for a few minutes on each side, flipped my waffle iron a few times to cook it evenly, and then plated it once it was nice and crispy. I topped it with blackberries, which were the only ones that weren't moldy because I got a shit bunch of blackberries. This cinnamon bun almond butter, blueberry cinnamon bun almond butter from Legendary Foods is crack. Get it, you won't be able to stop. Of course, a little drizzle of maple syrup and a sprinkle of shredded coconut. And this was really yummy. Highly recommend. Then before lunch, I decided to bake my pumpkin chocolate chip cookies, which ended up not being cookies, you'll see. So I just started with the last of the oat flour that I had. Also added the last of the granulated monk fruit I had. It was a very sparse day. Then the 4 spices, so cloves, cinnamon, cardamom, and nutmeg, basically my makeshift pumpkin pie spice. Stir that all together. Then I eyeballed about a cup of pumpkin puree. This recipe was like all eyeballed, basically. The last of my sunflower seed butter, which I aimed for about half a cup. It might have been a little bit more for this. Good amount of maple syrup and a dash of vanilla extract. Blended that together with just enough water to form a batter. And then I had some coffee in ice cubes that I keep in there for baking. So I melted the coffee, but when I added that in, it made the batter way too thin. And then I added my vegan chocolate chips. I like the Lily's Stevia brand. The batter was just too thin. It was like cake batter, not cookie batter. So I decided to try and make like pumpkin bread. I didn't have parchment though, so you can see I'm fucking struggling trying to use a silicone mat and be like waste free with no parchment. It was a hot mess. I mean, it worked. You'll see it comes out fine, but it was just very difficult. Makes this weird ass shape because I had to use the silicone mat. But you know, I mean, we made it. It worked out okay. Put that in the oven. I don't even remember for how long. My recipe's down below. When I took it out, I let it cool in the pan for a few hours while I prepped lunch. So I started by steaming Japanese sweet potato. I steam it before I air fry it. It's just my favorite way to do it. This is my favorite salad that I always have anyway. Once that was steamed for a few minutes, I took it out and popped it in my air fryer, and then I replaced the sweet potato with my tempeh cubes because tempeh just tastes a bit better. Also steamed for a few minutes before cooking. So that just steamed away while the sweet potatoes began to air fry, and then once the tempeh was ready, I added that into the sweet potatoes for a few more minutes just to crisp and brown everything a little bit more. I added some of the quinoa that I bulk prepped for the week into a bowl with the then cooked tempeh and sweet potatoes. Use this miso tahini dressing from Minimalist Baker, which is so good. I'll link it down below. I'm addicted. Black pepper, chili lime seasoning from Trader Joe's, and a bit of fresh basil, obviously some greens, and another big drizzle of the miso tahini dressing, which I kept adding as I ate. For dinner, I did pretty much my usual veggies, so onions, carrots, and then I used mini sweet bell peppers instead of normal bell peppers. I think I'm gonna go back to bell peppers because, full disclosure, I had terrible food poisoning from this. Like, I haven't thrown up in over a decade, and I was up all night after this. The only two things that were different than usual were the cauliflower gnocchi and the mini sweet bell peppers, like the onions, carrots, broccoli, this tofu that I air fry. I have this so often that I know it wasn't this, or I mean, I highly doubt it. So I don't know what was so problematic, but for the veggies, I just cooked some onions, garlic, and then curry powder, coriander, mustard seed powder, and black pepper, and a splash of water to get everything going. After that was cooked for a little while, I added in my carrots and mini sweet bell peppers, which may be the devil of this meal, some broccoli until that was green because I don't like my broccoli too cooked, then wilted down some arugula. Once that was done, I made my sauce with some lime juice, mustard, maple syrup, and peanut butter. I wonder if it was the sauce, like sauce tasted a little weird, I don't know. I air fried the cauliflower gnocchi for 10 minutes in my air fryer, and then I plated that with the rest of the goods. A little bit of nori seaweed because I love seaweed. I think it's just amazing seaweed. Cut that up, added that on, drizzled on the sauce. It made a lot of sauce, and it was a little sour. I don't know, I probably would do just coconut milk next time like usual. 3 little basil leaves from my homegrown basil. Sprinkle of white sesame seeds, sprinkle of everything but the bagel seasoning, black pepper, and then I added a little bit of salsa because for some reason I wanted that with the gnocchi, and this was really good dinner that didn't stay in my stomach for long, but it was good. And then for dessert, God, I cut a slice of this weird ass cake bread, a totally bigger slice than is like proportional to the rest, but I had that with some cinnamon bun, almond butter, of course, and it was like dripping everywhere, so I had to pull out a little plate, but it was so good. Such a weird dessert, but you know, it's amazing. So I hope you found this What I Eat in a Day helpful. Like, subscribe, do all the things, check out my astrology videos below, and I will see you in the next video.